Hello, today we are looking at the idea of midpoint between two different points. And midpoint means the point that's in the middle between two other points. So we would be looking for a point, if we have A and B here, we'd be looking for the point that's halfway between them, that's in the middle between those 2 points. So I can see visually that it's probably going to be this point in here. In fact, I'll mark it there with a blue dot, and this is going to be my prediction. I can see that that blue dot looks like it's halfway between A and B. So let's see if we get if that works out. That's literally what we have today, a formula that gives us the point that's halfway, or the coordinates of a point that's halfway between two other points. That's it. That's what we're working on today. So if I want to get the midpoint of AB, I have a formula for this, formula for getting the coordinates of the midpoint, the coordinates of my blue dot, and it is getting the average of the x values and the average of the y values. Now we know what an average means. We add the numbers up and divide by the number of numbers. So we're going to get the x coordinate of A, the x coordinate of B, add them together and divide by 2, so get the average of the x values, and do the same for the y values. That's all this formula says. It's the average of the x's and the average of the y's. But let's put it into practice now. So as ever, if we're asked about anything in coordinate geometry, we're going to find out what our coordinates are. So what are the coordinates of A here? Well, we start at the origin, we go in the door 2 until we're directly beneath A, and we go up the stairs 11. So A is at in the door 2, up the stairs 11. X before Y, X comes before Y in our alphabet. And then B is the other point we're asked for here, capital letters for our points. We go in the door 6 and up the stairs 7. In the door 6, up the stairs 7. And then I know I'm looking for the midpoint. It's told me that. And on page 18 in my log tables, I have something that is called midpoint of PQ, where PQ are the 2 points they give you in your log tables. So that formula is the one I have written up in this top corner, and we're going to write it again. So midpoint, capital M for midpoint, of AB, this is just a shorter way of writing midpoint, instead of having to write the English word, is going to be our x1 plus x2 all over 2, comma, x1 plus y1 plus y2 all over 2. And I can see that this is brackets with a comma in between each of these things. And why is that? Because this is the coordinates of a point. So this has brackets around it and a comma in between, for the same reason as we have brackets around 2 and 11 here with a comma in between. This is going to give me the location of a point, the coordinates of my blue point here. So let's sub in. So to do that, I need to know what x1 and y1 are. So I pick my first point and my second point. It doesn't matter which one you pick as x1, y1, and x2, y2. This could be your second point. So this could be x2, y2, and this could be x1, y1. It doesn't matter which one you pick as your first and second point. You just need to make sure you get your x's and your y's correct. So let's put this into our formula. And we have x1 is 2 plus 6 all over 2, comma, 11 plus 7 all over 2. And I can put this into my calculator, but a little bit of simplifying would be a good idea. So I end up with 8 all over 2 and 18 all over 2. And I put that into my calculator and I get, I get 4 and 9. Now, let's just double check if we got that when we had our blue point here. So my estimate of our midpoint was that blue dot. So let's go in the door. So I'm beneath it at 4 and then up the stairs 9. So I got it correct from my picture. And it's good if they give you a picture to try and draw that in. Having a feel for what the question should be is good particularly for coordinate geometry, because we're doing maths with pictures, so it makes sense to try and do some of the thinking in pictures if we can, to predict what our answer ought to be. We still have to do out the algebra, of course, or the number or method, of course, but it's good to have a feel for what the answer might be. Now, this is, what is the midpoint of DC? Well, where's DC? So I have my 2 points here, D and C, and this one is far enough apart that I'm not really too sure where the midpoint is going to be, but it will be somewhere, I think, around there. And again, it's a good idea to try and give a bit of get a bit of a feel for roughly where it might end up. They won't always be whole numbers. So this case, we ended up with 4, 9, so they were nice whole numbers. You can end up with fractions and decimals for your midpoints. There's no reason to expect that it has to be whole numbers when you do your work. So let's get our points D and C. That's always what we need when we start out in coordinate geometry. So we need D and C to find the midpoint in between. So let's find the coordinates of D. We start at the origin, go in the door -2, and up the stairs or down the stairs -6. So D is at -2, in the door -2, down the stairs -6, and C is at start at the origin, in the door -6, down the stairs in the door 6, down the stairs -4, and that's my x1, y1, and my x2, y2. And again, it doesn't matter which one I pick as being first and second point. So I always write down my formula before I sub into it. This is important, and you can get marks for just writing in the formula sometimes. So you have to be careful that you're always writing in the formula. It's really helpful for your memory and for getting marks in the exam. So we put in x1, x1, x2, so -2 plus 6 all over 2, comma, this was my x coordinate for my midpoint, and my y coordinate now is going to be -6, -4, or plus -4, when I put this into my calculator, I'm going to get 2. So I put these bits in individually. So I put this bit in individually. I can't put my comma into my calculator, so I have to put this fraction in individually, and I get 2. And I put this fraction in, and I get -5. So that is my coordinates of my midpoint, and as it happens, I got this one out. So I have 2, so I go in the door 2, down the stairs 5, -5. So in the door 2, down the stairs -5 is where I have my blue dot marked in. So we're doing well today. And then finally, we have our midpoint of BC. So let's get our coordinates of BC. So B and C. So B is at in the door 6, up the stairs 7. So in the door 6, up the stairs 7. And C is at in the door 6, down the stairs -4. In the door 6, down the stairs -4. X1, Y1. I know I'm dealing with my midpoint, so I'm going to label my points. And what I notice here is that I have the same x coordinates, and I can see from my picture B is directly above C. So the average of my x values is still just going to be 6. Now I can still use my formula, but the only thing that's going to change here is that I'm going to get a different value for my y. I'm going to get a y value that's halfway between B and C. Well, where is halfway between B and C? We're starting at 7, we're ending up at -4. What's halfway between them? I don't have a nice number. I think that it's halfway in between them. That's going to be a difference of, we're going to end up somewhere down around here, but I'm not too sure exactly where we'll end up because the numbers don't seem to be as nice this time. So roughly somewhere around here, I think. Somewhere around there. Let's see how we get on. Sorry, I should mark that in blue. And if I'm a little bit out, we don't have to worry about it, but that's roughly where we think we might end up. And it's good to try and have our visual guide so we see if we're roughly right. Now, let's sub in. So our midpoint formula we're going to write down. We've already figured out our x1, y1, x2, y2 and our coordinates. So subbing into our formula, we have x1 plus x2 all over 2 on y1 plus y2 all over 2. Subbing in, we have 6 plus 6 all over 2, comma 7 plus minus 4 all over 2. Which is equal to 6. You put this into the calculator and we know that we're already going to get 6 for our average here because they're directly above each other. And then when we put this into the calculator, we are going to get 1.5. Or you might have gotten 3 over 2. So that could have been written as 3 over 2. And you can write it as 1.5 if you like. So, and I am roughly correct. That is at about 1.5. So again, it's helpful to have these visual guides for ourselves that we can see if we're roughly correct. If I'd ended up with a minus number for my y, I'd have a suspicion that I was wrong because I can see roughly that that's around where my midpoint should be. So that is my different values for my midpoint. So this would be the midpoint of AB. This would be the midpoint of BC. And this would be the midpoint of DC. And again, these are the coordinates of points that are halfway between or in the middle of two other points. And that's what we need for now.